Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. I am Dylan Simmons, joined alongside the sports director of KCCR, John Winkler, and we are live at Hyde Stadium once again, getting ready for the second half of our doubleheader between your Pierre Governors and the Huron Tigers. And we've got a great atmosphere and a great scene for some baseball action as the Governors go back to work after those two tough losses this past Friday. But, John, they found a way in the first game today to really do what they wanted to do, and that was dominate.
Yeah, they took advantage of the walks. They got the timely hits that they needed. 10 runs on 6 hits in that first game. They end up with 3 runs scoring on wild pitches, another run scoring on a bases loaded walk. They were able to take advantage of the Huron mistakes, and that's what good teams have to do. 10-0 win. Some would say, well, it's just you beat a team that's now 1-8 on the season, but you still got to go out there and win. You still got to go out there and be able to knock them off, and that's what the Governors did. They handled the business that they're supposed to in Game 1. Now they have to make sure they handle business in Game 2 as well. That
they do, and there's going to be a lot of interesting things to consider with Game number 2, both in the lineups and the starting pitchers that we will see on both sides. We'll have full previews on that coming up for you in just a second. But I think the big question for Pierre and the big thing that people will be asking is, can they maintain the same focus and determination that they had in Game 1 after that big beatdown? Can they keep that going into Game number 2?
Yeah, and it starts, in the top of the first inning. Brendan McCullough is going to be the starting pitcher for the Governors, who I believe is making his first start since the opening doubleheader of the season for the Governors. Yeah, well, he's had 3 appearances so far, but the biggest part for McCullough was that first weekend doubleheader. But it's going to start with him being able to throw strikes. If he walks, 2-3 guys right in a row, that's a little bit different of a scenario for the Governors than if he comes out and gets a 1-2-3 inning. Everybody is, for those lefty to come into the game and get the start, if he has a good first inning, that kind of carries in from Game 1 to Game number 2, and playing good defense as well. Doesn't have to strike everybody out, but if they go 1-2-3 with 3 groundouts, 3 flyouts, whatever it is, this top of the first is going to dictate on how the Governors can handle Game 2, and if they can do just as good as what they did in the second game as they did in the first game.
That it certainly will. For the Huron Tigers, they're going to have Bubba Peterson on the mound for this game. Peterson, an interesting story thus far on the season as far as pitching is concerned. He's got 3 innings pitched, 1 game started, an 0-1 record, 4 strikeouts, 5 earned runs given up, and he has not pitched since April 11th, so this is going to be his first time on the mound in quite some time.
And, for the Governors, again, they took advantage of the Davis Chase walks, and then they jumped on early pitches against Tommy Barton, who had a 480 batting average against in his stat line. So this is another time where if, having the fact that they haven't pitched very much, for Bubba Peterson, again, jump on him early. Make him feel the pressure early on, and that can result in, you don't want to say, hey, you got to have 6 runs in the first inning again, but it can result in a crooked number coming up in the bottom of the first.
And I think the big question that Huron has to answer as far as pitching is concerned is, can they stay away from the self-deprecating mistakes, from the things that cost them in Game number 1? There were a lot of walks and a lot of things they did defensively as well that kind of hampered them and put them behind the 8 ball before the offense really even had a chance to respond.
Yeah, they had zeros in the 3rd and 4th inning. They only allowed 2 base runners, 3 base runners overall in the 3rd and 4th inning. They were able to get through it. They have to have that more often in this second game than what they did in the first 2 innings of Game number 1.
All right, here we go. Top of the first between the Govs and the Tigers, and we are underway in Game number 2. And the first pitch by McCullough, right down the alley. Count's going to be 0-1.
I believe that was...
Was that a ball?
I think it was ball 1.
Well, they're ruling it as a strike right now. And here's a drive into right field. This one is going to sit down right in front of the right fielder, and a leadoff single early on for Trace Wentz.
And the throw came from Rounds. Wentz almost felt like he was moving a little bit too slow to the first base bag. But a good start for Huron. They get that leadoff man on to start this game, where they really struggle to get base runners in Game 1. That's the start that they want to have and force McCullough to work from the stretch right away.
That it certainly is. Trace Wentz, one of the top batters for Huron thus far this season. He had a single in his final at-bat of the game in Game number 1. Here's a bunt laid down. Throw to first is going to be in time, but the sac bunt does its job for Logan Leyendecker. It sends Wentz on to second. And just like that, the Tigers have a runner in scoring position.
And you can tell that Huron's one to generate runs quickly, and then put somebody in scoring position right away. And putting the bunt down for Landecker tells you, and they don't necessarily think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but they need runs, and they need it in a big hurry. So they're not in any kind of, in a way, shape, or form saying, we want to try and just get a whole bunch of hits. We're going to manufacture any runs that we can get.
All right, here comes Bubba Peterson to the plate for his first plate appearance of game number 2. And as we mentioned before, he will also be the starting pitcher for the Tigers today. Off-speed pitch comes in from McCullough, a little outside. Count goes to 1-0. Huron enters this game with a 1-8 record overall. As I mentioned in game number 1, their one win was against Washington back in mid-April by a score of 5-0. This has popped up right up and over our press box. It lands on the roof and crashes back down into the crowd. Souvenir City. Go get that souvenir, kid.
He's got the baseball he put up in the air, too. You can return that and get some money off of that. I believe it's $1 per baseball and foul ball.
That's right. We get our baseball back, and you get a prize. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Here's a drive into right field. This one sets down right in front of the right fielder again. Coming around and stopping at third base will be Trace Wentz. But just like that, runners in the corners for the Tigers, and the hitting is looking a lot better early on for Huron in game 2.
Yeah, 2 singles so far, and the only out recorded was the sacrifice bunt. So it is an opportunity for the Tigers to get on the board right away here in the top of the first inning against this Governor team. And 2 hits to right field, which, they're not getting around McCullough, but they are able to get base hits against McCullough in the first 3 batters.
Yeah, it seems to me that Huron, at least initially, has made adjustments hitting-wise that is certainly helping them in game number 2. And it feels like that they are handling the fastball of McCullough, and any pitch for that matter, a lot more consistently than we saw in game number 1. Of course, that could be a difference of pitcher, too. You had Weston Northrup in game 1 for Pierre. Now you've got McCullough in, as this pitch comes in low, and the count goes to 1-0.
Yeah, and just, a little bit, too, of just, continue to swing. Sometimes it is not, not so much of adjustment, but continue to swing the bat, and you start to see things fall a little bit more than in game number 1.
That's a great point. Sun coming down in a big way now as that ball's mishandled by the catcher, and on to second now will be Bubba Peterson. So all of a sudden, the Tigers have 2 runners in scoring position, as the Govs just having some issues in this top of the first defensively. Pitch from McCullough. This time he puts it in perfectly, and the count goes to 2-1.
Corners are in for the Governors. They're making sure that runner doesn't take off for home on a ground ball that's either back to McCullough or at the corners, but they'll trade it out for a run up the middle.
Failed to mention, but Sutton Sunshine is the catcher for the Govs in this game. Lets that one come in. Count goes to 2-2. We'll have the full lineups in the bottom half of the first inning, but we've been moving right along here in this second game, and it wasn't too long after the first, so it kind of comes at you at a lightning speed, but I like the way they do it in South Dakota. Low pitch by McCullough again, and we have our first payoff pitch of game number 2. 3-2-0-0, Govs and the Tigers. Pierre now 7-3 in South Dakota play, trying to maintain pace towards the top of the South Dakota standings. Time called momentarily by Chase. Chase entered today's proceedings with a 182 batting average, 2 total ribbies on the season. Pitch from McCullough is slapped back foul. And good work by Davis Chase to keep this at-bat alive.
Big strikeout opportunity here for McCullough. If he can get the strikeout that alleviates that trading out for a run, you get 2 outs. There still is an open base over at first, but big opportunity to get a strikeout for McCullough.
Wentz and Peterson are waiting to see what's going to happen here, as there's another foul ball by Davis Chase, and it is very much a chess match between batter and pitcher right now to see who's going to blink first.
You don't necessarily need to give in if you're McCullough, but again, looking for that strikeout pitch.
Fastball in, swing and a miss. Great pitch by Brennan McCullough, able to get the strikeout. That's now 2 away here in the top of the first.
Kept going off speed was McCullough, and then fired the fastball at the knees. It really changed the look for Davis Chase, and no chance to catch up. He was late on the fastball.
So the cleanup man, Chase, is taken care of. Now comes Brady Feenstra into the game, and he lets that pitch go by. Count goes to 1-0. Feenstra once again the catcher in this game, as he has been for most of the season for Huron. And Feenstra, the second best batting average that Huron currently has. Lets this pitch come in low. Count goes to 2-0. Check that, actually the third best batting average for Huron in total. Colby Hofer with a .333 average. Of course, not as many games played, so how you want to count that is up to interpretation. 2-0 pitch. And a throw back to third.
Oof.
Boy, just about got Trace Wentz, did the third baseman for the Govs, but not quite.
Leave it a 2-1 count here to Feenstra. That was a really good play there to try and catch Wentz napping over at third base.
And sometimes it's those moments where the base runners kind of take it for granted that you as a pitcher got to step up in that situation, and that's what McCullough, well, it wasn't McCullough, it was the catcher, Sonnenschein, who did that, but same difference. Swing and a miss, count goes to 2-2. And now for McCullough and the Govs, a chance, despite the hits given up, to get out of this top of the first with no damage. And after that somewhat shaky start for the pitcher, that will be a huge resolution for him if he can manage it. This one popped up. It's going to be playable. Coming over and making the catch will be the Governors. And that will take us to the bottom half of the first inning. So 2 hits, 2 men on base, but 2 runners stranded on base for the Huron Tigers. It is 0-0 here in the capital city. We'll be back after this 1-minute timeout. You're listening to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR.
Stolken Peterson LLP has been your local CPA firm for over 40 years, offering tax preparation, bookkeeping, payroll, and consulting services. If your business, farm, or ranch needs professional, accurate, and reliable services, we are your firm. Our clients are our #1 priority. If you need a higher level of accounting service, give us a call at 605-224-5828. That's Stolken Peterson LLP, 222 East Missouri Avenue in Pierre.
Swing for the fences with a great deal from Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota in Pierre. Whether you need a powerful truck, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a spacious SUV, they've got the perfect lineup to keep you on the road and in the game. Don't strike out. Stop by today or visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota, where the best deals in town are always in play. Welcome back to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. Sorry, folks, I had my mic flag turned down for a second there, but I'm back, John's back, and we are ready to go for the bottom half of the first inning. Your Pierre Governors in game number 2 against the Huron Tigers, currently deadlocked at 0-0. The top half of the first inning, pretty interesting for the Tigers. Got a couple of hits. Offense looked as good as it's looked all day, but still unable to capitalize and get any runs. And now the Governors' offense, which was in fuego in game number 1, gets their chance here in game number 2, John.
Yeah, as we can go through that starting lineup here real quick. There's a little bit of change for the Governors from game 1 to game 2, but Carter Shufflebine leading off. He's the second baseman. Sonnenschein is catching. He's batting second. Dawson Getz, the shortstop, will bat third. Ridge Linebach, the left fielder, batting fourth. Trevor Rounds will bat fifth and play right field. Porter Hunsley is in the starting lineup. He's a center fielder batting sixth. Cooper Twilliger will be the DH batting seventh. Bridger Babcock is the first baseman batting eighth. And Parker O'Brien rounds out the order batting ninth. He is the third baseman. So Brendan McCullough is being hit for by Cooper Twilliger as Shufflebine digs in for the first at-bat of the bottom of the first.
All right, so the Governors get their chance offensively, and Shufflebine sends one deep into right field, and it's going to be caught. Great adjustment on that play by number 7 for the Huron Tigers. The right fielder gets the job done. That's Oakley Anderson.
Yeah, really good. That's a tough play to make. The ball's hit right at you, and you're trying to make a decision if you're turned to the right or the left, and he had to turn back to his left after he initially turned right and was able to still make the catch on that first pitch.
And here's a ground ball left side, picked up by the third baseman, thrown on to first, and it's just going to be there in time to get the out. Boy, that was very close for Sutton Sonnenschein. Just about had a base hit, but the defense of Huron making a huge difference that time. as it was Gabe Wallner who was able to just get it to first.
That was Davis Chase, the third baseman.
Or Davis Chase, the third baseman.
Yeah,
my apologies.
That was a looky what I found in the backhand. I don't know if he ever looked that into his glove, but of course Dawson Getz has to take that first pitch because there's 2 pitches and 2 outs, and Getz was not going to just make it a 3-pitch inning for Bubba Peterson.
That he was not. 2 away now here in this bottom half of the first. Things moving quickly. And that pitch is in there by Peterson. Count goes to 0-2. So Sun and Shine and Shufflebind have been taken care of. But now we'll see Simpson get his opportunity. Harley Simpson.
No, it's Dawson Getz.
Or it is Dawson Getz. My apologies. Sorry, I think I'm looking at the wrong lineup.
I think you got game 1 lineup.
I think I got the game 1 lineup, so my apologies on that, folks. I'll get that corrected as soon as I can. As that pitch comes in high, count goes to 1-2. I was trying to scramble with my beautiful handwriting, which John knows all too well about, to get the lineups down, and I think I looked at the wrong one.
That's one word to describe it.
It's something. Chopper left side is going to be fouled by Getz. And my papers go flying once again. I'll tell you what, the wind today is just something else, John. But, I mean, that is South Dakota.
Well, it is blowing in instead of blowing out or just across, from left to right or right to left. It's blowing into the press box, which doesn't give you a favorable chance with the papers.
It certainly does not. Gets at the plate, sends a bouncing ball right side, fouls it off. Count stays at 1-2. Getz has been one of the more solid batters for Pierre all season long, and he was pretty solid last year as well. 58 at-bats, 172 average, but he's taken a huge jump this season, 250 average entering these games. Chopper right back to the mound. Should be an easy toss for Huron, and it is cleaned up by Peterson on to first. That is 3 away here in the bottom half of the first inning, and the Governors come up empty, no hits. And that'll take us to the top of the second, still tied at 0-0. We'll be back in 1 minute right here on KCCR with more Pierre Governors Baseball.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
For over 60 years, Ferding Electric has been powering homes and businesses across central South Dakota. When you need reliable electrical service, trust the experts with decades of experience. Whether it's a simple residential repair, a complex commercial installation, or even electrical work on your farm, Ferding Electric has you covered. And if you're tired of searching everywhere for that hard-to-find bulb, Ferding Electric carries a wide selection of bulbs, including those hard-to-find fluorescent and specialty options. Visit us at 2903 East Elizabeth Street or call today, 605-224-8684.
Welcome back to the capital city. We are live at Hyde Stadium. Dylan Simmons and KCCR Sports Director John Winkler on the call with you this evening. Game 1 was over in a flash, but Game 2 looking to be a little more competitive so far as a pitch is fired in by Brendan McCullough. Leading off in this half inning for Huron is Jack Peterson. That is number 6 in the order, followed by Cooper Bischoff and Oakley Anderson. Swing and a miss at this one. Count goes to 1-1, just like that.
A good off-speed pitch. Lefty on lefty matchup. Lefties don't really like to hit against another left-handed pitcher, especially in high school baseball.
And it's interesting when you get these lefty versus lefty showdowns. It's, like you mentioned, something that's a bit of a spectacle in high school baseball, but always unique interactions. And that is just outside the zone. Count goes to 2-2. A little high that time.
So many left-handed hitters just face right-handed pitchers. The majority of pitchers are right-handed pitchers.
And that is going to be a strikeout looking. How about that for Brendan McCullough? Peterson thought it may have been a little low, but Brendan McCullough put it right in the perfect spot. Right-handed hitters see that right-handed motion, but to see lefty versus lefty, you just don't see that very often. It really throws off those left-handed hitters. And it really makes things a lot harder for as a lefty, you start to feel a little bit more confident on the mound because everybody is in a little bit different situation trying to hit against you. That they are. Here's a ground ball right up the middle. Picked up and thrown on to first pretty easily for a 4-3 putout. Nice job by Carter Shufflebind to clean that one up. That's 1 away here in the top of the second.
2 down.
or 2 down. My apologies. Forgot about the strikeout there.
Real quick, get some score updates we can pass along. A couple of games that are final. Brandon Valley beat Jefferson 4-1 just a little bit ago. Watertown over Aberdeen 3-0. That's usually a Legion game, Watertown taking on Aberdeen at this time of the year, but it is a high school baseball game. And then the JV team, Pierre JV, won 13-1 over Sturgis down in Kelly Field in game 1 of that doubleheader. And the Pierre Governor softball team beat Aberdeen 14-3 on the road this afternoon.
Well, congratulations to the Pierre Governor softball team on that victory. And, of course, as more results trickle in, we'll have those for you.
A couple more games. Brookings, I know, is in action as well this afternoon. So we already know that Brandon Valley beat Jefferson, Jefferson swept the Governors in those 2 games. And I don't know if they're playing a doubleheader or not, but Roosevelt right now beating Brookings 6-4. Lincoln's beating T 12-3.
Oakley Anderson fouls this one off. He had that nice catch in right field in the bottom half of the first inning on Carter Shufflebine. One of the better defensive plays that Huron has made thus far today. Now Anderson looking to do it with the bat. And Mr. Anderson has a ground ball to the right side, but Shufflebine's right there to get the 4-3 putout and make it a 1-2-3 inning for the Pierre Governors defense. Score is still deadlocked at 0-0. No hits for Huron. We'll be back in the bottom half of the second. Governors back on the offensive when we come back. You're listening to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Becky Potsaba and State Farm Insurance are here to help you with your insurance and banking needs. State Farm's not just insurance. It's banking, investments, IRAs, loans, and a whole lot more. We offer guidance in a personal and caring way that helps you manage the risks of everyday life, recover from the unexpected, and find ways to control costs so you can realize your dreams. We know how life is, and we're here for you. Stop in to see Becky at 1315 East Wells Avenue in Pierre, or call Becky at 224-4173.
Welcome back to KCCR Radio, your home for all things Pierre Governors Baseball. Dylan Simmons and John Winkler joining you this evening. Your scoreboard courtesy of the American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebine Agency. Governors back on offense here as they try to take the first lead of game number 2 between the Govs and the Tigers.
Yeah, we need some runs on that American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebine scoreboard.
That we do. Maybe we'll get them here in this bottom half of the second inning. First pitch goes in for a ball. Bubba Peterson still on the mound for the Huron Tigers. First inning was pretty solid for Huron defensively. Here's a ground ball right side. Easy pick by the second baseman. Gets it on to first for 4-3. One away.
Ridge Leinbach with that sharp ground ball. Second baseman's getting action right now. Shufflebine retired the last 2, and Bischoff retiring Ridge Leinbach to kick off the bottom of the second.
Yep, good work by Cooper Bischoff. Worked as the DH in the last game, now getting a chance at second base for the Tigers. Now up to the plate is going to be Trevor Rounds, and he lets this one go by. Count goes to 0-1. And I'll tell you what, Rounds had a great game 1, maybe his best game of the season offensively, John. 3 RBIs, including a 2 RBI single.
Yeah, went 2 for 3 with actually 2 for 2 with those 3 RBIs.
And he sends one to left field here, deep back, and that's going to land all the way near the wall. Rounds wants second base. He's going to round it easily. Almost decides to go to third, but stops where he's at, and that was a good decision. Trevor Rounds with a double here in the bottom half of the second.
Good piece of hitting for Rounds. Got it on top, got underneath the ball, a high pitch in the zone, but right at the top of the strike zone, was able to drive into left field with the wind still blowing in. That's a hard hit ball by Rounds to beat the left fielder over his head. And he's standing on second with a 1-out double. First base runner for the Governors. And now an opportunity here for Porter Hunsley, Cooper Twillier to try and drive him in.
Porter Hunsley next up to the plate. Actually entered today's games with the best batting average on the Governors. A .375 lets this one go by. Count goes to 0-1. He's been pretty consistent, or rather 1-0. He's been pretty consistent all season long as far as his plate appearances. And he was the lone Governor, as he fouls this one off, to have a hit, rather have an RBI against Jefferson on Friday in either of the two games.
Yeah, good for Porter Hunsley, not so good for the Governors when he's the only guy that had a RBI in the two games. The only run that scored, he drove him in, but he has been good driving in runs when he's been up to the plate, and he's got an RBI opportunity right now as they try I don't know if they tried a hidden ball trick or if the second baseman, or if that was not entirely planned, because the second baseman and Bischoff act like he threw the ball back. The pitcher and Bubba Peterson ducked like it went over his head, but nobody bought into it.
That was bizarre. This pitch is in the dirt. It gets behind the catcher, and now on to third will be Trevor Rounds. So Governors have a runner in the hot corner as that just got away from the catcher.
Well, what could have been, I guess, the hidden ball trick did not work for Huron, then leads to Rounds being on third the next pitch.
That it does, and that's, again, one of those self-inflicted mistakes by the Tigers that cost them so much in Game 1. That goes for a strike for Bubba Peterson. Count goes to 2-2 with one away. And you got the speedy Rounds in the hot corner, 90 feet away from scoring the first run of the game. Almost a guarantee that if he sees any kind of daylight, he's going to take it, as well he should.
A ground ball up the middle, not to the pitcher, will get the run home, or a fly ball to left field, or fly ball.
And that's a hit by pitch.
And Hunsley won't get the opportunity to try and drive him in yet.
He got caught, looked like, in the left upper forearm. And now Hunsley the chance to get a run in this game as he moves on to first base. Governors with runners in the corners, as Cooper Twilliger will be the next man up, working as the DH in this game.
And thankfully that was an off-speed pitch that hit Hunsley, because he is a lefty thrower, and as a right-handed hitter, your throwing arm is exposed, where most everybody else in the batting order, except for Bridger Babcock, who will come up next as a pickoff move. Hunsley dives back in safely. Bridger Babcock, a lefty, his right arm is exposed.
Yeah.
But, that doesn't happen very often for a lefty to have, to bat right-handed, but thankfully for Hunsley, again, it was just an off-speed pitch that doesn't really affect you too much hitting you.
Worked out in his favor, thankfully enough. And there goes Hunsley. He wants second base, and he's going to take it without a throw. Stolen base for the Govs, and the speed of Porter Hunsley on full display.
Yeah, Feenstra missed the catch. It was a strike, but he missed the catch.
Right.
And so it allowed Hunsley to get there without any opportunity or anything for Huron to do about it.
That should make it a 2-2 and now a 3-2 count. Or 1-1, my apologies. Not sure how I got that messed up on the scoreboard, but we're all good now.
The Hunsley hit by pitch got you all messed up.
I think it did, and that one's going to get by the catcher one more time, and a run's going to score for the Governors. Trevor Rounds comes in on the pass ball by Huron, and the Govs take a 1-0 advantage.
That's the fourth time that a wild pitch has scored a Governor run in these two games. Obviously, this is the first run of the game for the Govs to score on, but they scored 3 in that first inning in game number 1. Now have their first one here in this game.
And that will move the count to 2-1, or rather 2-2 now. As you've got Cooper Twilliger still at the plate. Moving on to third, by the way, is Porter Hunsley off of that wild pitch. Let's see if Twilliger can send Hunsley in. Had to duck that one. That's going to bring the count to 3-2. Looked like it was up over the helmet of Twilliger that time.
Twilliger's a pretty tall guy, and to duck still means that ball had to be pretty high up in the air for it not to hit him.
That it did, and when you see a guy like Twilliger duck, you know that it's serious business. Pitch by Peterson, fastball is just fouled off. Keeps the count full at 3-2.
And another final score, Lincoln beat T 13-3 in that first game, I believe. I don't know if they're going to play some doubleheaders over there. Mitchell also beat O'Gorman 4-2 just now.
Another foul ball by Twilliger here. And again, a lot of teams in action tonight, as they will for most of the week. We're getting into the meat of the baseball season. A lot more action coming your way, as that's a strikeout on Twilliger and a big one for Bubba Peterson. That will be his first K of the day.
Yeah, another curveball that just froze Twilliger and nothing he could do about it. And so now it's up to Bridger Babcock to try and drive in that second run.
Yeah, Bridger Babcock on the way, 2 away now in this bottom half of the second inning. Govs with a 1-0 lead on a wild pitch by Peterson. This one is high. Count goes to 1-0. And now you've got A righty versus lefty matchup here, which can always be interesting for any right-handed pitcher when you got to face that. Babcock lets it go by. Count goes to 1-1.
The only lefty in the batting order for this Pierre Governor team. One of the few lefties at all for the Governors.
And that is just outside. 2-1. Bridger Babcock with 2 RBIs on the season entering today's game. 1 hit. That against West Fargo back on April 11th. Also had a sac fly RBI versus Mitchell in game number 2 of that doubleheader. Peterson's fastball is going to be fair. Peterson chasing after it. Got to throw to first, and it bounced off of Babcock, and a run's going to score for the Governors. Hunsley comes home, and it's a dome run for Pierre.
And I don't know if Bubba Peterson is maybe thinking, hey, it bounced off of his, he pointed to his foot. He thought it hit his foot on the swing, that it should have been a foul ball, but the throw, Babcock's running right down the line and hits him right in the helmet. I believe that would go down. I mean, it's hard to have it put an error to the pitcher on the throw because he threw it pretty much perfectly to first. There's just nowhere for him to actually throw it from where he was standing at. So it'd be an infield single for Bridger Babcock and an RBI to make it 2-0.
That is one of the more bizarre runs you'll see in high school baseball as they try to throw back to first, but unable to do anything with Bridger Babcock. And yeah, it was a throw by Peterson that went right off the helmet of Babcock as he was making his way to first. There's a strike. Count goes to 0-1. Parker O'Brien up to the plate, working as the third baseman in this game, as he often does. So a 2-0 Governors lead. Both under odd circumstances in this bottom half of the second. One off of a wild pitch, and another off of not quite an error, but I guess you could somewhat call it a mistake. Another pickoff here by Peterson. I don't know. What would you quantify that as, John?
I guess just a bad break for Huron and Bridger Babcock using his head to make a play. And the fact that it bounced off his helmet right to the second baseman who was backing up the play was even the more impressive thing, that it was ricocheted. Somehow went off the helmet, still kept going forward, and it went right to the second baseman's glove. All of that play was just kind of a wild sequence.
I guess that would have counted as an out and kickball, but this is obviously a different sport. Swing and a miss here by O'Brien. Count goes to 2-2.
Wouldn't have been out in dodgeball, though. No headshots in dodgeball.
Yeah, you can't use headshots in dodgeball.
I guess unless you're, the dodgeball movie, I think headshots counted in the dodgeball movie.
I never saw the dodgeball movie. I need to get on that. That one's high, and the count will go full at 3-2 for O'Brien.
You definitely need to watch the dodgeball movie.
Is that the one with
Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, okay,
yep.
I was about to say, yeah.
Ben Stiller, yep.
Yeah. That is a legendary set of clips if you've ever seen it, and that's going to be a walk. So O'Brien moves on to first base. That's going to be the first walk issued by Bubba Peterson in this game, and the Governors now with runners at first and second.
And he continues, and back to the top of the order, obviously O'Brien's not an easy number 9 batter. Not that, in high school baseball, there are some guys that get to the number 9 man and you feel like could be an automatic out. O'Brien is not that case, but to not get him, now you have to go against Scheffelbein, and if you don't get him, then it's 2, 3, and 4 all of a sudden, and things can unravel quickly for this Huron team.
That they can, and we saw in game number 1 how just a few runs back-to-back like that can kind of disorient a team, for lack of a better term. Another pitch high by Peterson, and after a pretty strong start in the bottom of the first, things are somewhat coming unwound for number 20. But we'll see if he can get it under control. Does have 2 outs in the spot. And there's a nice fastball for a strike. Count goes to 2-1.
We'll see Brookings on Friday in Brookings. They're down to their last out, trailing 6-5 to Roosevelt in game 1 of that doubleheader.
Here's a chopper left side, picked up and moving easily to third base will be Davis Chase, and that will put an end to this bottom half of the second. But the Governors put a couple runs on the board, one by a wild pitch and one by, a run off of the dome, for lack of a better term. Govs on top, 2-0, top of the third on the way. After this break, you're listening to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR.
Since the day First Fidelity Bank first opened its doors for business in 1905, we've served the credit and investment needs of this area. The money that's deposited with us is reinvested locally in the form of loans to area families, farms, and small businesses, where it can help create new opportunities for everyone in our community. First Fidelity Bank. First-class banking on a first-name basis. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Online at ffb-sd.com.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through the extreme seasons we've grown to love. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. Their ASE certified mechanics can make your AC cool again, or even just change your oil. They can look into and fix those noises that seem to come from nowhere and have you stressed out. Bring your car to Graham Tire so they can put your mind at ease. Graham Tire, your tire store next door.
And welcome back to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. Dylan Simmons, John Winkler joining you on this Tuesday evening, one day behind schedule at Hyde Stadium. We were supposed to play this game yesterday, but obviously Mother Nature had different ideas. But you know what, in a way, I'm kind of glad that she held off until today, because it has been a stupendous day for some baseball here at Hyde Stadium, John.
Yeah, with 66 degrees right now here in Pierre. Perfect evening for some baseball. The wind, no matter what, it's always going to be a factor here at Hyde Stadium. When it's not, it'd probably be 120 degrees outside. 14 mile-an-hour winds out of the south. It's just a perfect day of baseball for here at Hyde Stadium. And after, inch and a quarter of rain pretty much that came through, the Hyde Stadium looks better and better every time we come out here.
Brennan McCullough off to a pretty good start so far for the Pierre Governors, as that one is fouled back by Gabe Walder. 9-1-2 due up in the order for the Huron Tigers. Count goes to 1-1.
Looking at right now a high of 76 on Saturday when we're back here for the doubleheader against Brandon Valley. So looking in sunny skies, so looking for a beautiful day for a 12 o'clock start, 12-2 against Brandon Valley.
Chopper left side from Waldner. O'Brien's got it, handles it to first, and oh my gracious, what a play by the Governors there at first base. How about the job to pick up that baseball by Bridger Babcock?
That is, and it was a long hop from O'Brien, who probably liked to have that throw back because he had a lot of time, and he ended up kind of turfing it down. But Bridger Babcock staying on the bags, making the play, and the first baseman in me loves that job by Bridger Babcock, making that play at first and helping out as third baseman.
He certainly helped him out in that situation as the count goes to 1-0. Back to the top of the order to Trace Wentz, but that takes such great concentration from any player, as that's right back to O'Brien. Bobbles the baseball. Quick throw to first is not in time. Just able to beat out the throw with Trace Wentz. And that's going to be an E5, I'd imagine, with Wentz at first base.
And O'Brien, again, would different reason would like to have that play back, but that was a tough hop for him to take. The first one, he was trying to go in between, and he was able to make the play. That time, again, it was another tweener hop that if you charge, you have one shot at it. If you back up, you get a little bit better of a chance, and it just bobbled and couldn't make the play. Almost still got Wentz over at first.
Yeah, that's the impressive thing about it. He still almost made it happen. That shows the velocity of the throw that Parker O'Brien possesses. Just couldn't get the finish that time. But whenever he's dialed in on all cylinders, he's a tough infielder to deal with. That is just outside the zone. Count goes to 1-1 for Logan Leyendecker. He had a sacrifice, or not a sacrifice bunt, had one right back to the pitcher in his first at-bat.
That does go down as a sack bunt.
It was a sack bunt,
Yep.
Yes, my apologies.
It did move Wentz over to second at the time in that top of the first.
It was a sack bunt, so they try the pickoff back to first there momentarily. Count goes to 1-1. And a swing and a miss by Leyendecker. Count goes 1-2 for the Huron Tigers. Leyendecker came into today's games with a 174 average, 2 total RBIs on the season, and 2 runs, 4 hits as well. That pitch is in the dirt and caught in no man's land for a second. Trying to get to second is Wentz, and he's not going to be able to. He took off a little too early. I think he underestimated that Sutton Sunshine was going to be able to get that ball out when he did, and as a result, it's an out for Pierre.
And a great play by Sunshine, because if he throws the ball to first, he's safe at second. If he throws the ball to second right away, he's safe back at first. But instead, he took a couple steps out towards the field and made the play, made the runner make the play, and then the strikeout to finish off the inning. That is a wild top of the third to go only have three guys come to the plate.
That's a very unorthodox way to do it, but these Pierre Governors baseball team, they're showing you just how good they can be on all sides of the baseball. They'll get a chance on offense when we come back for the bottom of the third. You're listening to Pierre Governors baseball on KCCR.
Is your roof ready for the next South Dakota storm? Don't wait till it's too late. For over 25 years, Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction has been serving Central South Dakota with quality roofing and construction. He has now added gutters. We offer dependable service, guaranteed workmanship, and no unnecessary flash or fuss. Just reliable protection for your home. Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction. Experience you can trust. Call today, 605-280-8133. Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction, serving Central South Dakota for over 25 years.
Step up to the plate with Overhead Door Company of Pierre. Like your favorite team, we deliver reliability, strength, and top-notch performance. For over 100 years, Overhead Door has been the most respected name in the industry. From commercial or residential repairs to full upgrades, our team of technicians stand ready to provide winning results. Don't let a faulty garage door strike you out. Look for the signature red ribbon and call the industry MVP at 605-224-6200. Bring your garage door game to the big leagues. It is a beautiful Tuesday evening here in the capital city. Dylan Simmons and John Winkler with you live at Hyde Stadium. Our scoreboard courtesy of American Family Insurance, the Brittany Shuffle Buying Agency. Your Governors on top by a score of 2-0 over the Huron Tigers. Up to the plate for Pierre in this inning. It's going to be Carter Shufflebine at the plate, whereas this is going to be a short hit ball. Third baseman picks it up, throws on to first pretty easily. That's Sutton Sunshine rather leading off, and that is out one.
And so a quick first pitch, and that was a half swing there by Sunshine that, again, he rather got a full swing on it, but an easy play to be made. Well, kind of a tough play to be made, but still a good play to get that first out for the Huron Tigers.
Dawson Getz next up for the Governors. He grounded out to second his first time up. Pitch is low here. Count goes to 1-0.
You are listening to KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront broadcasting station, as we're past 7 o'clock on this Tuesday night.
1-0 pitch by Bubba Peterson to Getz. That one almost made some contact, it looked like. Getz had to kind of feint away from it for just a second. There has been one hit by pitch from Peterson on Porter Hunsley, and that one did make contact. Looked like it caught Getz in the left shoulder as far as I could tell. Either way, he's on to first with an HBP.
A second now hit batter, as you had mentioned, that Porter Hunsley, the other guy that got hit. But it puts runner on now, and with one out in the bottom of the third, an opportunity for the Govs to start, taking advantage of this and being able to get a couple more runs on the board.
Ridge Linebaugh to the plate, entered game one as the team leader in hits with 10 total, 270 slugging percentage, a 270 batting average, 4 RBIs and 3 runs. But with Ridge Linebaugh, his stats don't stay the same for long. If you've watched him, he is one of the best producers that the Governors have at their disposal.
Yeah, he was hitting the ball really well last spring before he got hurt and didn't get a chance to play the rest of the spring and summer, and earned his way to having an all-state appearance because of what he did so early in the season for the Governor team before he got hurt.
Ground ball right up the middle, picked up and thrown on to second, chance for a double play, and they got it. That is not what the Governors were looking for as the Tigers capitalized with the double play. Both Linebaugh and Getz sent back to the dugout, and the Tigers avoid disaster. Score remains at 2-0. We're on to the top of the fourth after this break. You're listening to KCCR Sports with Pierre Governors Baseball. When you're in town for the big game, why not stay where the view is just as great as the action? American and Fort Pierce sits right on the river, offering beautiful scenery, relaxing comfort, and easy access to the ballpark. After a day at the Diamond, there's nothing better than unwinding by the water, and the American always hits it out of the park. Stay by the river. Stay in comfort. Call 605-223-2358 to book your room today. American, where the river meets relaxation.
Hello, I'm Pastor Jeff Lathrop of Pierre First United Methodist Church. and I'd like to invite you to join us in person for worship on Sunday mornings at 8:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. You can also join us on Facebook Live or on KCCR 1240 AM or 98.9 FM for our Sunday morning broadcast at 11 a.m. Come worship with us at First United Methodist Church, where you will find open hearts, open minds, and open doors.
Welcome back to Hyde Stadium. Dylan Simmons and John Winkler, KCCR Sports Director Extraordinaire, on the call. And we've got ourselves a pretty good game here in game number 2 between your Pierre Governors and the Huron Tigers. Huron up to bat in this top half of the 4th inning. Leading off will be the pitcher for game number 2 for Huron, Bubba Peterson, as he takes on Brennan McCullough. This is a drive into left, and that's going to sit down in left center field, and Bubba Peterson is wasting no time. Oh, brother, he's got a leadoff single.
He's now 2 for 2 after singling in the top of the 1st inning.
As I was just about to mention, Bubba Peterson has been on quite a roll lately. Got things started for the Tigers in his first at-bat and keeps it going here in the top half of the 4th inning. And again, if Huron's going to start springing together runs, this is what they're going to need to do. We'll see if they can follow up on what Bubba Peterson just did. It's the cleanup man in the order, Davis Chase, the number 4 man overall. Peterson, Davis Chase, and Brady Feenstra leading off in this frame as the count goes to 1-0 for the Tigers.
I do want to go back to the 3rd inning with Sudden Sunshine making that play behind the plate, because that is very impressive play by Sunshine.
Showing bunt, pulling back. Here's the throw to second. It is not in time. Boy, that was very, very close, but somehow able to beat out the throw was Bubba Peterson.
I think Shufflebine might have not got the tag. He tried to play it like he had the tag, but that just missed, again, for the runner and Peterson stealing second.
So a 2-0 pitch after the Peterson stolen base. Here's a high fly ball to center field, racing back for it and making the catch. Here's the throw on to third, trying to beat out the man, and it's not going to be there in time, but the Governors do get out number 1 here in this top half, of the 4th inning.
I want to keep talking about the Sudden Sunshine play, but what an impressive throw from Porter Hunsley, who went back on that to make the catch in right center field and would have thrown a one-hopper. O'Brien obviously saw that he wasn't going to get there in time, but he would have thrown a one-hopper to third base, and if Peterson had jogged at all, he would have been out at third. That should not have been as close to what it was, but that's because of Porter Hunsley.
This ball popped up in the infield. A few Governors wanted. O'Brien chases after it and gets it. That's 2 away.
It's a great play by the third baseman. He's probably got the best angle other than maybe the first baseman, who's you really don't care about the first baseman making that play. The third baseman coming in, you really feel like he's got the best opportunity, and he took the charge. You know, you say the shortstop is kind of the quarterback in the infield, but I like the third baseman always making that play because you're already playing in a little bit as it is.
Jack Peterson to the plate now. Swings and misses at this one. It was going by so fast, I didn't even have a chance to mention that was Brady Feenstra who was at the plate, and that's the second time that he's popped one up to the third baseman Parker O'Brien in this game in his 2 at-bats.
I may never get a chance to talk about Sudden Sunshine's play last inning. Well, they almost picked him up.
They almost got Bubba Peterson over in the hot corner. I'll tell you what, Parker O'Brien playing some great defensive baseball in this frame.
Well, McCullough, the lefty going from the stretch, he doesn't really get a full look at the guy at third base. But with him stopping and starting, it allowed McCullough to step off, and he had to hustle his way back to third.
That he did. Peterson watches it go by, and a nice off-speed pitch. Count goes to 0-2 for Brennan McCullough, who thus far in this game has a total of 3 strikeouts, looking for number 4 right here.
Trying to keep this a 2-0 game here in the 4th.
Here it comes. And that's a swing and a miss. Throw on to first, should be routine. It is, and that is going to be out number 3 in this top half of the 4th inning. And Brennan McCullough does get that 4th strikeout. Govs defense on a roll, up 2-0 on the Huron Tigers, trying to keep it going and extend the lead in the bottom half of the frame. We'll be back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and the KCCR Sports YouTube channel. Are you a farmer in the Highmore area? Do you need a trusted partner for your grain and agronomy needs? Look no further than AgTegra. AgTegra is built on a legacy of farmer-owned cooperatives, providing superior service and relentless innovation for generations. We're committed to your success and the safety of our employees and members. For your grain needs, call Chance Scott at 605-846-1099. And for all your agronomy needs, reach out to Cole Hamlin at 605-871-9572. AgTegra, growing together for generations.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. Dylan Simmons and John Winkler on the call. Scoreboard presented by American Family Insurance, the Brittany Shufflebine Agency. Your Govs on top 2-0 over the Huron Tigers in game number two. Trying to get the doubleheader sweep here on this Tuesday evening. Trevor Rounds to lead off for the Govs in this frame. 5, 6, 7 due up in the order. Rounds, Hunsley, and Cooper Twilliger.
48 pitches through 4 innings for Brendan McCullough. That's a good mark to be at. You're barely over. You're at 12 pitches per inning. That's good for Brendan McCullough. That will extend him out pretty deep into this game.
That it will, as the fastball goes by Rounds. Count goes to 1-0, and if he can hang in there, he will also, much like the pitcher from the first game for the Govs, be available for a potential appearance on Friday or Saturday. Goes by, count goes to 1-1, and of course, that pitcher for the Governors being Weston Northrup, who was just sensational in game number 1, and seeing some similarities here from Brendan McCullough thus far. 1-1, and a swing and a miss. Count goes to 1-2 now for Trevor Rounds. These two teams met last year in Huron. Governors won that game 4-3, but it was a grinded out affair. They were up 4-0 early on, and then the Tigers posed a little bit of a comeback. Almost were able to overcome the 4-0 deficit. Ended up being a 4-3 Govs win. Kind of leaning into the swing, not quite a swing, but leaning into his motion that time was Rounds. Let it go by. Count goes to 2-2.
It was much colder that night in Huron than it is tonight here at Heights Stadium.
What was the temperature? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I was dressed warm because I was outside for that one game.
This ball popped up by Rounds. It'll go up and over our press box. Please don't land near my Jeep. Count stays at 2-2.
There was a doubleheader in Huron where it snowed a couple years ago.
Oh.
And you could see it on the YouTube screen because the flakes were so big.
Oh, and a swing and a miss here by Trevor Rounds. That's one that he chased a little bit, and he probably will want back.
First time he's been retired all day today after he reached base his 2 times with 2 hits. He was 3 for 3 with a double to that point today in the 2 games. So the first time they're finally able to keep him off the base pass.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a shock to see that. That is the second strikeout for Bubba Peterson in this game, doing it with both the bat and the arm thus far. Count goes to 1-0. Also has been, you could argue, the best batter that Huron has had in this game. Bubba Peterson thus far for the Tigers with 2 singles. 2 for 2 at the plate.
When it snowed in the Huron doubleheader, would have been 3-4 years ago now, that I was inside the press box, so I was much better off than if I'd have been outside the press box. I'm not sure I would have survived the doubleheader with it as cold as it was. The wind was blowing really hard, but it was blowing into the press box or out from the press box, and the nice concrete building that I was in was blocking all of that wind to help me be able to broadcast those 2 games.
As the count goes to 2-2 here, a strike administered by Bubba Peterson. What's the coldest temperature you've ever called in, real quick?
Probably would have been that game, that doubleheader, because when we left, I was trying to pick up my equipment, didn't have my gloves on, and my hands felt like I was already starting to almost get some frostbite on my hands. It wasn't that bad, but it felt really bad to me.
I got some advice for you. Bring out the hot hands in that situation. Well, pitch goes low.
Which was funny, though, because, because it was so cold, everybody was sitting in their cars, and at that point, well, why would you not pull up the game and listen to the broadcast? And, yeah, it was a 30-second delay with YouTube.
3-2, ball chopped foul.
But I had mentioned, I said, if you're listening in your car, in between pitches, give me a honk on the horn. And we had about 3 or 4 different honks went down the line in Huron. And there we go. We got some people that were listening to KCCR Sports while they're sitting in their car trying to stay all toasty.
I love that. Porter Hunsley sends a bouncing ball to the left side, picked up by the third baseman Chase, gets it on to first for a 5-3, and now 2 away in this bottom half of the fourth.
No hits other than that second inning for the Governors right now, and they had a hit by a pitch, was retired on a double play, 1-2-3 in the first inning. So outside of that 2-run bottom of the second with the 2 hits that the Govs had, Bubba Peterson has been really good on the mound for Huron.
That he has been, as that pitch is high. Almost caught Twilliger again, or not again, but for the first time. It was Hunsley who suffered a hit by a pitch earlier on. Count goes to 1-0. Twilliger struck out his last time up, sends a fly ball into left, and that one's going to get down for a base hit. And Cooper Twilliger on with a 2-out single in the bottom half of the fourth.
It didn't get all of it to Twilliger, but got enough of it to muscle it into left field and get the base hit, and it goes down as a hard line drive in the book. And that's the first hit for Twilliger this season, coming off that shoulder injury at the end of the football year, which he played through and was able to get surgery after the football season. So got to feel good to get that first hit out of the way and really start to go to work for Twilliger.
Bridger Babcock to the plate. Boy, Twilliger just able to get back as they attempted the pickoff. Governors able to just get Twilliger back to the bag.
He's one of the few guys that have got that white jersey dirty today.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the dirt really does become evident whenever you got those white jerseys out. But they are a very nice look for the Governors, one of my favorite uniforms they've worn this year so far. That one goes by, and the count goes to 1-0 for Bridger Babcock. Babcock with a single his first time up.
The uniforms, the Pierre Governors have had some different uniforms over the course of the years. But they had the post-8 jerseys. They brought out the pinstripes a couple years ago that were, I said throwback jerseys, and Cash Anderson on Twitter said, boy, that makes me feel pretty old because I wore those, and he's younger than I am.
Oh, no.
So I had to be careful on how I said it. It's still throwback jerseys to me, but it was not the, I didn't want to say old-time jerseys because then it would make a lot of guys that are younger than me feel pretty old. But it was kind of funny to say that because technically they were throwbacks, but they weren't, throwaway backs. They're just the small throwbacks.
Here's a ground ball right side. That one almost gets through. Throw on to first is going to be in time. Good cleanup by Cooper Bischoff. Got it to Peterson, and that is 3 down here in this bottom half of the fourth inning. Governors get 1 hit from Cooper Twilliger, but that's it. We're on to the top half of the fifth with the score. Governors 2, Tigers nothing. We'll be back with the Tigers on offense when we return. You're listening to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
AGE Corporation has been building South Dakota for nearly 60 years. For all your site work, construction, and crane needs, AGE is there for you. If you need a boat dock and dock lighting, AGE has what you need. Visit their website, agecorp.com, or give them a call at 223-2732. AGE Corporation, providing high-quality services without sacrificing safety. Visit agecorp.com or call 223-2732.
Welcome back to beautiful Hyde Stadium in Pierre, South Dakota. Dylan Simmons and John Winkler on the call. A beautiful day here in the capital city. The Tigers back on offense, down 2-0 to your Pierre Governors. Count goes to 0-1. As up at the plate now is Cooper Bischoff, the second baseman. 7, 8, 9 due up in the order for Huron. Brendan McCullough still at the mound. Here's a fly ball into left field. Racing after it is Linebach, and he is able to make the catch. Twisting and turning every way, and he wants some hype from the crowd after that one, as he should.
He throws his hands up. I don't know how. The wind brought it back a little bit, but not necessarily sometimes how you get it done. It's just that you got the job done.
Yeah.
It's not going to make the highlight reel of a catch in the sense of, a diving grab, but he does make the catch. It's just better than, letting the ball drop.
I'm impressed he was able to locate that. This is, oh, wow, able to leg out a single on that was Oakley Anderson. He just turned on the jets and channeled Barry Allen, and he's able to get a one-out single in this top of the fifth.
That's a tweener ball for Bridger Babcock, who had to really charge, and if he did, he probably wasn't going to get back there in time. By the time the ball got to him, he still really didn't have enough time to get to the bag himself, and McCullough just couldn't win the race against Oakley Anderson.
Here's a bouncing ball right through the gap in left field, rather in the infield, and coming off the bag was the first baseman for the Governors, Babcock. And now the Tigers all of a sudden have two runners on base as Babcock couldn't tag him.
Yeah, be an air charge that Dawson gets on the throw that went wide. Babcock almost got the tag applied, but Waldner was moving quickly enough down the line to now make it first and second. And two really close plays for the Governors that, a split difference. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning instead of first and second with one down right now at the top of the fifth.
Trace Wentz to the plate as we go back to the top of the order. This is just foul to the left of the third base bag, and boy, Pierre's got to be thankful that that was the case, because if that had been fair and gotten past O'Brien, that would have easily scored one and maybe even two runs under the right circumstances.
Yeah, thankfully the Govs get the break that time. They got the break in the those last two batters, but they get the break. Otherwise, it was at least a 2-1 game. If not, in that corner, could have made it a 2-2 game.
So now Wentz, who already does have a single in this game and reached base last time on an E5, trying to reach base for the third consecutive plate appearance. And he's got runners at first and second. The tying run is at first base for the Tigers. Here's a bouncing ball. Left side, picked up by Getz, throws on to third, and he was able to get him in time. Great work by O'Brien and Getz to take care of the leading runner in that situation, Oakley Anderson, and that is now 2 away in this top half of the fifth.
O'Brien put the tag down, and it might not have been in time on the tag, but he was on the base, and it was a force out, so that he didn't have to worry about the tag. It was a force out at third, and that's a big play for O'Brien to get back to the bag, but for Getz to realize his play was to third base to get that second out and to keep that, everybody where they need to be at first and second on the fielder's choice.
And it was a smart play. Protect the hot corner and protect the guy who's the leading runner right now, and that's what they did in that situation. So Wentz gets to first base on a fielder's choice. Logan Leyendecker at the plate, struck out looking his last time up, and had a sacrifice bunt his first time. Lets this one go by for McCullough. And this is where Scott Rowie will maybe pay a little bit more attention to McCullough, just in case he loses the handle just a little bit. Obviously don't have to think too much about putting in a new pitcher yet, but that thought, obviously for any coach, always kind of in the back of your mind just in case.
Yeah, no activity in the right field bullpen right now, and 56 pitches for McCullough, so, for the sake of the game, he's got plenty. He's basically halfway through right now.
Count goes to 2-1 here. Nice strike by McCullough. Yeah, he's pretty far away still from probably needing to put in a new pitcher, but if this thing starts to go sideways in this top half of the fifth, it may be something to just keep in mind. Here is a liner that gets right into the glove of the second baseman, Shufflebein. He was ready for it at the lip, or rather the edge of the infield, and the Governors are able to take care of Huron and leave two runners stranded on base. It is still a 2-0 ball game. Governors on top of the Tigers. Governors will be looking for some insurance when we come back. You're listening to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR.
Step up to the plate with Kathy Sunshine Properties in Pierre, your go-to for buying, selling, and finding your perfect home. Whether you're looking for a cozy cottage or a spacious family home, Kathy Sunshine Properties has you covered. We're committed to helping you make your next big move, on the field or in your life. Ready to find your dream home? Call Kathy Sunshine Properties at 605-224-5588. Your home run in real estate.
Larry
Fry Heating and Cooling has a new name. Kruger Climate Systems has acquired Larry Fry Heating and Cooling, but it's still the same great service. Your friend Larry Fry is still a manager, and his dedication to providing you with outstanding service remains unwavering. The same quality products and services you have come to expect from Larry Fry Heating and Cooling will continue under the new leadership of Kruger Climate Systems. You can still reach us at 605-224-9548 or email us at ryan@krugercontracting.com. Kruger Climate Systems, your certified Trane and Mitsubishi dealer in Central South Dakota.
Welcome back to Hyde Stadium. Dylan Simmons, John Winkler on the call. This is KCCR, your home for all things Pierre Governors baseball. Your Govs on top 2-0 over the Huron Tigers in game number 2 of today's doubleheader. Bubba Peterson remaining on the mound has had a pretty solid game so far. Had one inning where things went awry and they gave up 2 runs to the Govs, but otherwise Huron has been pretty solid defensively. Fires in the first pitch of his 5th inning as the count goes to 1-0. It is Parker O'Brien leading off for the Governors here in this bottom half of the 5th. He will swing and miss. Actually made a little bit of contact. Count goes to 1-1. It's going to be a foul ball, but either way it counts as a strike.
They did have some action in the left field bullpen. Again, the pullover was over the top of the jersey, so I couldn't tell who it was. But that was pitch number 66 for Bubba Peterson. So he's still got a long way to go before the end of his time. He's got 39 pitches, make that 38 now.
This one's going to be fouled up by O'Brien and didn't even hit the roof that time. I think it just went right up and out into the parking lot back there.
I think it went to the heavens. I don't know how that went over the top of the press box here.
Got all the way stuck in the ozone layer, I guess.
Yeah.
Count goes to 1-2. That's one of the highest hanging balls I've ever seen off of a bat. Count stays at 1-2. It may still be up there.
Well, I was going to say, it looked like it was going to fall, in front of the press box, not even get over the top of the press box. So I don't know how that didn't hit the
optical
top of the
illusion. Here's a high chopper left side. Picked up, thrown on to first for a 5-3 putout. Nicely done by Davis Chase. One away in the bottom of the 5th.
Again, Brendan McCullough's got 58 pitches through 5 innings, so he is still in a really good spot to continue to get in this game. Now, if you want to keep him under 80, so you'd be available for Saturday's game, he's only got 22 pitches left to go before he gets to that point, but he's still in a really good spot to maybe at least get through 6 complete if Coach Rowley is concerned about wanting to have him available for Saturday.
Shufflebein lets the first pitch go by as we're back to the top of the order for Pierre for the 3rd time. A little bit of a baby check swing. Didn't go around all the way. Count goes to 2-0.
The Govs want some more runs on the board. 2-0 lead, not the... you got the lead, but you want to be more comfortable with it.
And this may help with that. Flying into right, chasing after it is Bischoff, and he is able to make the catch. Great rundown by Cooper Bischoff to locate that baseball. Hung up in there for a while, and even in that situation, the sun can affect your eyes, but it didn't affect Bischoff. Able to get the catch and get out number 2.
Yeah, you get into the long shadows of some of these poles, but the sun getting to the point where it's maybe a little bit harder where Bischoff was running to, but maybe where he was at made it a little bit easier to still see that ball enough, and that wind held up enough for him to go run that down in the right field line.
Count goes to 1-0 on Sutton's Sun and Shine. Here's a ground ball to third, and Davis Chase easily gets it over to Jack Peterson to end this bottom half of the 5th inning. And the stalemate continues. Haven't seen any scoring since the 2nd, but the Govs are still on top by a score of 2-0. We'll see if they can keep that going or if Huron can turn the tables. We'll be right back after this 1-minute break. You're listening to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping wants to make it easy for you to get that lush green lawn and that yard haven that you've been dreaming of. Visit dakotasprinkler.com to make appointments for sprinkler system spring startup, service calls, fall winterization, and landscaping quotes. Trust Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping's professionals to get you through the planning and installation to make your landscaping needs a reality. Visit DakotaSprinkler.com today.
Welcome back to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. We are live at the beautiful Hyde Stadium in downtown Pierre. Dylan Simmons and the KCCR Sports Director John Winkler on the call. Governors on top 2-0, trying to get a doubleheader sweep of the Huron Tigers, but they're having to earn it in game number 2. Huron is not going away, down just a couple as we approach the top of the 6th. And the man of the hour, Bubba Peterson, who's been doing a phenomenal job from the mound for the Tigers to lead off.
And if you're just joining us, thinking, hey, game number 2 probably just getting underway. No, we're at the top of the 6th of game number 2 after an hour and 8 minutes of game 1 and a 10-0 win. We got started at 6:30, so we're an hour and 5 minutes into this second game and in the top of the 6th already for this second game. I shouldn't say already, but in the top of the 6th of this second game.
There's been an MVP for the Tigers so far in game number 2. It's been Bubba Peterson. Swings and misses at this one. You can chalk that up to a little bit of announcer's jinx, but Peterson with 2 singles in his 2 plate appearances so far in the game, and he has done a pretty solid job as the man on the mound for the Tigers as well. 1-1 pitch, and that's a hit-by pitch. Caught him in the left leg, and Bubba Peterson will take a leadoff trip to first base.
Yeah, third time he's been on base. All 3 times he's come to the plate has been on base, and he's trying to will his team I mean, he's literally doing everything possible for his team to win a baseball game, keeping 2 runs in 5 innings of work, and now he has 2 of the 4 hits already for Huron and been on base all 3 times. He's trying to, I mean, he's the one guy that if Huron doesn't win these 2 games says he's done enough.
And he's going on to second. The ball got away from Carter Shufflebine. Not even sure he had a chance at it. Either way, it's a stolen base for the Tigers, and they've got a man in scoring position.
Now he's got 2 steals in the game as well, does Bubba Peterson. So, I mean, Peterson has done it all for Huron to this point.
He is certainly putting the team on his back. A Max Duggan-like effort for number 20. Now into scoring position. Man at the plate is Davis Chase, who's been very solid at third base in this game. Count goes to 2-0. Chase struck out his first time up and flew out to center his second time. Facing a 2-0 count. 4 hits for Huron in this game to Pierre's 3. And this is going to be hit number 5. Another man on base for the Tigers and a single for Davis Chase. Back-to-back men on base for the Tigers here in the top of the 6th.
And for the second time in this game, they've got a runner on at third. Trace Wentz was stranded at third in the first inning. But now, with nobody out and a runner on third, Huron's in shape to at least get one of those 2 runs back here at the top of the 6th.
It'll be Brady Feenstra up next. He has had 2 trips to the plate, and both times he's popped one up to Parker O'Brien. So let's see if this is the charm on the third attempt at the plate. Throw back to first quickly by Brennan. Not going to, or McCullough, rather. Well, he is Brendan McCullough, so either way it works.
It worked. Feenstra was
showing. Who it is.
Feenstra is showing butt, looking like a safety squeeze here for the Huron Tigers.
He is showing bunt. Infield playing up. Here's the man on to second. Chase is going to be able to make it. And they almost caught the Governors napping, did the Tigers, because they had Bubba Peterson ready to go to home plate if that ball was mishandled by Shufflebine. Luckily for the Governors, that was not the case, but now the Tigers have 2 runners in scoring position.
Not how you draw it up, but it did keep Peterson on at third with the great catch by Getz backing up Shufflebine.
And this is going to be a liner right to Getz. This is going to work out well for the Govs, in theory at least. That's going to be, did he miss him? As he was trying to get to first base, he did not, but a run does score for the Tigers. Peterson comes home, and it is now a 2-1 ball game here in the capital city as Brady Feenstra gets the RBI.
RBI ground outs, but Richard Babcock was thinking about throwing it home before the tag was made. The runner in Feenstra went out of the baseline, and Babcock just then ended up stepping on the bag, but a lot happening on that last play.
And there was a lot happening. I thought for a second that they may try to play home in that instance, but instead they went for the easy out at first. Either way, the Tigers able to get a run off of it. And now you've got an 0-1 count with the man at the plate, Jack Peterson.
Yeah, you had to get the guy out, and where Peterson was kind of more staying at third base, you couldn't really go after him. You had to make sure that you didn't have the bases low with nobody out, at least get somebody out at first base, and that's what Getz was able to do. The play before that with the runner stealing for second, Scheffelbein was coming in to cut off the throw if Peterson had tried to throw, but he threw it too high to Sunshine. Getz was able to make the catch behind the bag, kind of trying to swipe tag a little bit, but kept Peterson in enough. But if he had broken for home on that throw, he would have scored easily because the throw was too high from Sunshine. But the Govs had everything lined up right, but the throw was just a bit too high, and it didn't really affect them in that situation.
And now from one Peterson to another, it is Jack Peterson who gets struck out by Brendan McCullough. That is out number 2 here in the top of the 6th, and a much-needed one for the Governors that will send on Cooper Bischoff, who thus far has not been able to get on base in this game. We'll see if this is the time that it happens.
And this is a big opportunity to get the third out here in the top of the 6th.
By the way, that's the 3rd time that Jack Peterson has struck out in this game. Each time he's been up to the plate, he has been struck out by Brendan McCullough.
He's been 3 of the 5 strikeout victims for Brendan McCullough.
Count is 1-0 here. McCullough dials up a fastball, fires it in low. Count will be 2-0. The Tigers entered this doubleheader with a 188 team batting average, but they have certainly shown their stuff in game number 2. Although the average may not come up that much, they've definitely found a way to generate some offense. This is going to be popped up and fouled. Count will go to 2-1. It hasn't been the flashiest offense, but the Tigers have just found a way to get guys on base in game number 2, and now they have a chance, potentially, to tie this game up. Let's see if Bischoff can answer the call. Lets this go by, and that was a good decision. Count is 3-1.
Oakley Anderson had that infield single who's due up next, but you do have the base open with a 3-1 count. You don't really have to give in here to Cooper Bischoff, because if you do walk him, that does make the force out again at any base. And a 3-1 count, good hitters count here for Bischoff.
Pitch to Bischoff, and that's ball 4. A 5-pitch walk from Brendan McCullough, and now the Tigers with runners on first and second as Cooper Bischoff makes his first his first trip on base in this game.
And really, that was a close pitch that just missed. You're trying to get Bischoff to swing there and maybe swing out of his shoes or swing off balance. I don't mind that walk at a 3-1 count, and especially how McCullough just missed the plate.
Oakley Anderson now to the plate. Great pitch by McCullough. Count goes to 0-1. So now you've got runners on first and second. It's Davis Chase who's on second, Cooper Bischoff on first, and Oakley Anderson at the plate. He's going to pop one up. This is going to work out well for Pierre if O'Brien can catch it. He does, and that is going to be out number 3. But the Tigers do have the deficit as Davis Chase able to bring in Bubba Peterson. Tigers down 2-1 to the Pierre Governors. Pierre looking for some insurance runs in the bottom half of the 6th. We'll see soon if they'll be able to get them right here on KCCR. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
People helping people. Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do. Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Back with a special presentation of Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. Dylan Simmons and John Winkler on the call with you this Tuesday evening. Scoreboard courtesy of American Family Insurance and the Brittany Scheffelbein Agency. Your Governors on top by a score of 2-1 over the Huron Tigers. Huron able to add a run in the top of the 6th, and now trying to prevent Pierre from making the deficit any worse than what it is. Dawson Getz will lead off for Pierre in this bottom half of the 6th inning, and there's a new pitcher on the mound. Tommy Martin takes over for Bubba Peterson.
And Martin, this is his second appearance on the day after he threw 26 pitches in that first game. throwing 3 innings, giving up 1 hit and 1 unearned run with a strikeout.
Getz was hit by a pitch his last time up. That, of course, with Peterson. Our first look at Martin as the pitcher in game 2. Pitch is high. Count goes to 2-0. Of course, Huron losing via run rule in 5 innings, 10-0 in game 1 if you're just joining us here on KCCR. But this has been a much more competitive game with better pitching for the Tigers. But we saw how in game number 1 it was the pitching that really cost Huron in that game, and mistakes made defensively that put the game out of reach quickly. Hasn't been the case so far, but you do not want the wheels to come off in this late juncture. There's a strike. First one by Martin in this game. Count goes to 3-1. And with Huron's busy schedule coming up, you feel as though maybe bringing in Martin probably a result of them trying to conserve some arms. Getz slaps one high into the air, into foul territory. Racing after it is Peterson, Jack Peterson that is. Not going to be able to get it, and the count goes full at 3-2. That's a pretty big break, though, for Tommy Martin.
Bubba Peterson is now at short, so Wallner comes out of the game, which means that Tommy Martin right now is in Wallner's spot, which is actually due up first at the top of the 7th. There is that re-entry rule, so they could maybe put Wallner back in to hit.
Here's a fly ball into left field that sets down right in front of Leyendecker, and Dawson Getz has his first hit of the game. It is a leadoff single in the bottom of the 6th.
It's a big hit there for Dawson Getz, and Getz started to make his way back to the dugout thinking that the ball was caught. He does get a single, but he...
Stay here, Dawson.
Yeah, we don't need you to get out after a single.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody get out when they got a hit. Dawson Getz almost did that. We're glad to have him here. We want him to stay here. Bunt laid down, or attempted to be laid down by Ridge Leinbach. Ended up fouling it off. Count goes to 0-1. So it seems as though the Governors may not be shy about trying to advance Getz to second by any means necessary.
You're up 2-1. You're looking for that insurance run, and you know, for Ridge Leinbach, who's 0 for 2 right now with 2 groundouts, while he's one of your best hitters, it tells you, Coach Rowley, they want to manufacture runs. They want to make sure they get this run on the board.
And there is the bunt. He lays it down, picked up by Martin, thrown on to first, able to get the out. But the bunt does its job and advances Dawson Getz on to second. So Pierre does have a runner in scoring position with 1 away.
And it brings up Trevor Rounds. Well, actually, it's going to be Will Danberg, I believe, that's going to be the hitter now for the Governor. So Danberg's actually going to hit for Rounds. But it was Rounds' spot where he had been, 3 for 4 in the game. But chance for Will Danberg to get a big RBI.
Infield playing up for Huron. Pitch comes in low. Count goes to 1-0. Not sure if Danberg will want to bunt this off. The infield ready for that possibility, though.
Yeah, I think with a runner on second now and 1 out, you're swinging away.
Pitch is high. Count goes to 2-0. Danberg making his first appearance at the plate in this game. He does not have a hit yet this season.
He is 1 for 9 so far.
Or 1 for 9. He does have 1 hit. My apologies. Looking for his second hit right here.
Does have an RBI, so how about number 2?
Here's a bouncing ball right back to the mound. Throw is on to third, and they're able to get Dawson Getz out. What a smart play by Tommy Martin. Got on the merry-go-round, got it to Davis Chase, and got out number 2.
That's Getz put his head down as soon as that ball was hit to the right side, which, again, with ball hit to the right side, you want to advance. But with Martin making that play, it makes it a big opportunity for him to throw to third and to get Getz out at third base, and that takes away that runner in scoring position right now with 2 outs.
Danberg on to first with a fielder's choice. Up next, Porter Hunsley, who is working as the center fielder in this game. Ball's bobbled, and on to second, sliding in is Danberg, as the catcher, Feenstra, couldn't handle it.
That's a big steal for Danberg. Obviously, Feenstra never got a chance to try and throw him out, but it does put that runner back into scoring position now with 2 outs, which would have been the case anyway. Would have been a runner on at second or third with 2 outs, and you still think a base hit, and it counts 1-1 right now here to Porter Hunsley.
Count.
But the opportunity here for, Hunsley, a base hit was going to score him no matter what, whether he's at second or third.
Hunsley's been consistent all season long. Pops this one up. Could be playable for the Tigers. It's not going to be. Landed on the barricade, it looks like, right in front of the fans. Stayed in the field of play, but no chance for a catch. Count's going to be 2-1.
1-2.
Or 1-2, my apologies. So we'll make sure to get that switched around. 1-2. Hunsley at the plate. He has reached base once in this game, a hit by pitch in his first at-bat. Runner on second for the Govs, and the runner's going. Here's a ground ball up the middle. Should be an easy 4-3. It is. And that will do it for the bottom half of the 6th inning. Governors come up empty once again, and now it's going to be up to the Tigers in the top of the 7th to tie or take the lead in order for this game to move on to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Will the Govs seal it, or can the Tigers extend it? We'll find out after this 1-minute timeout on KCCR.
Wagner Auto Company is your complete transportation headquarters. You'll find a great selection of quality new Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep vehicles, plus a great selection of quality pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles. They'll take good care of you after the sale with a full-service parts and body shop, along with a friendly financing team that'll do their best to get you into your next new or pre-owned vehicle with financing that fits your budget. Wagner Auto is your local, family-owned, full-service dealership in Pierre. WagnerAuto.com. That's WagnerAuto.com.
Has it been years since you've been to the dentist? Are you afraid to see a dentist? If so, you are among many people who feel this way. Hi, I am Dr. Michelle Hofer of Missouri River Dentistry. At our office, we pride ourselves as an office that uses a personal touch to offer gentle dentistry, tailored to fit each patient's needs. We do so by utilizing state-of-the-art equipment and methods which allow the patients to feel comfortable. So whether it has been many years or 6 months since your last dental visit, your oral health is important. We invite you to call us at Missouri River Dentistry, 223-2021, 223-2021.
It is crunch time here in the capital city. Dylan Simmons and John Winkler on the call. Top half of the 7th inning here for Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. And this should be a fun one to finish. Brendan McCullough still on the mound for the Governors, trying to hold the Huron Tigers down by 1 run at bay. Leading off in this frame for Huron, it looks like it's going to be Gabe Waldner.
Yeah, Waldner's back in that spot, so Tommy Martin will not be pitching in the bottom of the 7th if we have to get to that point.
Lets this pitch go by. Count goes to 2-0. Of course, Martin taking over for Bubba Peterson in that bottom half of the 6th. But Waldner out there right now, the number 9 man in the order. 9-1-2 due up. And that one perfectly placed by Brennan McCullough. Count will go to 2-1.
Now, I would say that Waldner could have been moved somewhere else, so we didn't notice that. Martin could still be in the lineup right now.
Off-speed pitch, high, ball 3. And you don't want to give the Tigers any free base runners if you're Pierre right now.
You get the top of the order due up next for the Tigers.
Especially with where they're at in the order, like you mentioned. Fly ball into left, it gets down for a base hit. And a lead-off single for Gabe Waldner, and the Tigers are in position.
And Coach Rowie will make his way out, seeing if maybe McCullough can get that clean inning. Maybe they're going to go to somebody else. That was pitch number 82 for McCullough, so he will not be available on Saturday. And we'll see what Coach Rowley, if he wants to settle him down. Nobody warming up in the bullpen in right field. And that will be the end of McCullough's day. So they will bring in Will Danberg to try and close this out in a 2-1 game.
All right, it'll be up to Will Danberg to see if he can finish it off for the Pierre Governors. We'll take a quick timeout and be right back. You're listening to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. You better not touch that dial.
Walking together in faith. Living together in faith, working together in faith, that's who we are.
Hi, this is Pastor Sam Hanschke. I hope that our athletes have an excellent and successful season. I pray that God would continue to richly bless them. I invite you to join me in praying for our athletes during the year.
We're Faith Lutheran and we are glad you're here.
Beck Motor Company is proud to sponsor the Pierre Governors baseball team this season. Just like the Governors, we believe in hard work, dedication, and striving for excellence every day. As these young athletes give it their all on the field, Beck Motor Company is here to deliver top-quality Chevy and Cadillac vehicles and unbeatable service. We're committed to supporting our community, and there's no better way to show that than backing our hometown team. Visit Beck Motor Company today and find the perfect vehicle to fit your lifestyle. www.beck-motors.com, 605-224-5912. Go Govs!
Well, Brendan McCullough's exceptional night on the mound comes to an end after a splendid start to game number 2 for the Governors. He will retire with 6 innings pitched, a bevy of strikeouts, and holding Huron to just 1 run thus far. But in his stead will be Will Danberg, making his first appearance in this doubleheader from the mound. He was a batter for the Governors not that long ago in the 6th inning, and now he gets his chance from the mound where he's most accustomed to being.
Yeah, team leader in innings pitched. He's got 4 appearances, 3 starts, and he's got a win in all 4 of appearances that he's had. 16 hits, 7 runs, only 3 earned. He has given up a total of 6 walks, 20 strikeouts, an ERA at 1.11 and a whip at 1.16 as he makes his 5th appearance and a first opportunity for a save for Danberg. Charlie Simpson takes over in right for McCullum, which then takes the DH out of the ball game. I believe will take the DH out of the ball game. Simpson would be in Twilliger's spot moving into the game now.
That he would, and as you mentioned, Will Danberg has been the guy for Pierre from the mound this season. Team leading 20 strikeouts, a 4-0 record, 16 hits given up, 3 earned runs, that's it, as he throws back to first in a hurry, not able to take out Gabe Waldner, as Bridger Babcock was watching him like a hawk. That is the tying run for the Tigers that would extend this game to the bottom half of the 7th, but not yet. Northrup, fastball, bunt laid down. Northrup chasing after it. Gonna have to throw quickly to first, and he got it. That is gonna be out number 1 here in this top half of the 7th, but the bunt does its job and puts a runner on second for the Tigers.
Yeah, good play by Danberg coming off the mound, make that play. He had to get the runner out at first. You know, that tying run does move up into square position, but you got to get that first out and be able to put that in that first out category for 2-3 here for the Tigers.
That was Trace Wentz at the plate. Now it's Logan Leondecker as he lets this one go by. Count goes to 1-0. Runner on second in scoring position is Gabe Waldner. And Danberg keeping a close eye on him. Count goes to 1-1.
McCullough goes 6 innings, giving up 7 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Obviously, he is still in charge of that run over at second.
The 1-1 pitch. It's low in the dirt, and good job by Sutton Sunshine to keep that baseball in front of him. If he lets it get behind him, you know that the Tigers are going to have a runner at third.
Yeah, that's a big stop there by Sunshine to keep him from getting 90 feet away.
Every play like that is magnified in this late stage of the ball game. That is fouled off by Leyendecker. Count goes to 2-2.
This is a really tough spot for the hitters because the shadows are creeping in. It's starting out, Danberg's throwing in the sun. It goes into some shadows, back into the sun, back into the shadows. That ball can be moving up and down quite a bit, especially no matter what kind of pitch Danberg's throwing.
And if you notice, the sun is kind of in his face. Doesn't matter, though. Drives this one into right. Ball caught. Throw back to second. Not going to be able to get the double play. But great work by Charlie Simpson, who, as you just mentioned, Sean, moved into right field. He gets the out. And now the Governors are just 1 out away from clinching the win.
Yeah, that's a big second out. Simpson, who just moves into the game after catching in game 1. Ball will find you when you move into the game. And Simpson, that was a line shot right to him, made the play. And now the Govs just 1 out away from getting the doubleheader sweep.
So now at the plate for the Tigers, looks like that's Tommy Martin. So Martin, it appears, is going to take his spot at the plate, lets this go by. Count goes to 0-1, subbing in where Bubba Peterson originally was.
That is impressive. 2 for 2 for Peterson with a hit by a pitch in this game, and he's not hitting in this spot.
Time called. Martin taking a moment to regain his composure, get things set. The game very much, for Huron at least, rests on his shoulders. Danberg trying to close it out. That pitch is low, and a runner's going to be at third base for the Huron Tigers. Coming all the way to the hot corner is going to be Gabe Waldner. And now the Tigers are 90 feet away from tying this game.
This is still Bubba Peterson that is hitting right now for the Tigers.
It is Bubba Peterson. Okay, so that's Bubba Peterson at the plate. Thought initially that was Martin, so that is Peterson. Couldn't tell from my vantage point. Thought I saw Martin's number, but it is Peterson, so the count's 1-1. And again, Peterson has had a very solid day so far. Started on the mound, but he's done well from the plate. Been on base 3 times in this game, 2 singles, 1 hit by pitch. Now his 4th at-bat, all he needs is 1 shot to tie this game up. 2 outs, 2-1. This ball popped up. It's going to land somewhere above our press box. And the count goes to 2-2.
Best pitch right here for Will Danberg. By stats and by how the game's going, best pitcher against best hitter, your best pitch for Danberg to try and get this strikeout to win the ball game.
The 2-2. Bouncing ball left side. O'Brien's got it. Throw to first, looking to end it. And the ball's bobbled and a run scores for the Tigers. Unbelievable. Babcock couldn't hold on to it. And unbelievably, Gabe Waldner comes home, and we are all tied up at 2 runs apiece here in the capital city.
O'Brien made that a solid play at third and then just spiked it at first, and Babcock unable to make the play at first base or pick it, and the game continues. And now for the Governors, they got to keep this 2-2 going to the bottom of the 7th. They can't allow this to get to a 3-2 lead here for the Tigers.
So no matter what, there will be a bottom of the 7th coming up. And that is heartbreaking for Pierre because the game was virtually over. All they had to do in that situation was retain possession of the ball. And now moving on to second on a wild pitch is going to be Bubba Peterson.
Obviously, if you're Will Danberg, you got to go get the batter no matter what. If he's at second, the runner gets to second or third. But you got to, one, have control, but you still got to be able to get this batter out. So that wild pitch, you don't want that to come back to hurt you. But, where Danberg's at, you can't be concerned that the runner just moved up 90 feet.
Low pitch, it gets away from Sun and Shine again. And now on to third is Bubba Peterson. And the wheels are somewhat coming off the bus for the Governors in the top of the 7th, John.
And again, Sun and Shine, that's a pass ball that he's just got to make the catch. Now it gets a little bit, you make sure that you can't throw a wild pitch. You got to make the catch behind the plate. But there's still just, you're 2 pitches away from getting out of this inning by striking out Davis Chase, and you got to go after him.
2-1 pitch. And there is a much-needed strike. Count goes to 2-2. 1 strike away from ending the top of the 7th. But remember, Tigers have a runner 90 feet away from home plate. And if there's another wild pitch or pass ball, they're going to take the lead. Danberg and Sun and Shine must keep that in mind. The 2-2. Here is a liner that is just fouled. Boy, that was close. And Pierre is looking to the heavens and saying, thank goodness, after that one.
Good pitch there from Danberg. Davis Chase fighting it off. It was a good battle here at the plate, and Danberg wants to win this one and get us to the bottom of the 7th, where it'd be 7, 8, and 9 for the Govs.
Chase did have a single in his last at-bat. That's his only time reaching base so far in this game. Swing and a miss, and this time Will Danberg does step up. He gets the strikeout swinging on Chase, and the game is 2-2 between the Govs and the Tigers. And now we head to what should be a dramatic bottom of the 7th. Can Pierre take it off or take the walk off at home, or will we have extra innings in the capital city? We'll find out in just a little bit. Back in 1 here on KCCR.
You just got a quote from a company and are now being billed for not choosing them. Many contracts have what's referred to as a contingency agreement. These typically state that if you don't go with them, you, after insurance has approved the repair work, will be charged a percentage of the job they quoted. Ask up front if they charge to provide an estimate. Never sign anything that you haven't fully read or understand. If you have any questions, reach out to the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
YAG Air Incorporated is your locally owned ag chemical and seed retailer. YAG Air Incorporated offers reliable ground and aerial application. For the latest seed and chemical pricing, contact Kyle at 605-280-8710 or Tony at 605-280-4771. YAG Air for all your ag chemical and seed needs. Kyle 605-280-8710 or Tony 605-280-4771.
KCCR Pierre, AM 1240 and 98.9 FM.
Welcome back to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR. Yours truly, Dylan Simmons, along with my friend John Winkler. And we got a dramatic bottom of the 7th coming up between your Pierre Governors and the Huron Tigers. Tommy Martin on the mound after Huron managed to tie the game up in the top of the 7th with a much-needed run. Bubba Peterson coming home to the plate. And now the Governors have to try to pick up the pieces and walk this thing off It'll be Cooper Williger who will lead off for the Governors here in this bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, Cooper Twilliger gets the chance to hit. I'm trying to figure out where Tommy Martin is hitting in the batting order right now, because if Bubba Peterson is still in the game, Gabe Wallner hits. I'm going to look at Huron Tigers lineup on their game changer. They don't have Tommy Martin in the batting order unless they put Peterson as maybe, I don't know if you could put him as a DH in the pitcher. Because if Martin doesn't come to the plate at any point, I don't know how they finagled that.
Yeah.
Because Martin can't leave and come back in the game as a guy that came in as reserve.
Liner towards left is just fouled by Twilliger, as the count will go to 0-2. And again, if the Governors cannot manage a run in this bottom half of the 7th, we will have extra innings here at Hyde Stadium tonight. And I think if you're the Governors, you would rather avoid that if you can. Pitches outside, count goes to 1-2. Obviously, if you can wrap it up in the bottom of the 7th, that's what you want to do. And Cooper Twilliger will try to lead the charge. 7, 8, 9, due up in the order for the Govs.
I see where he's at now. Bischoff is out of the game. Wallner is at second, so he will hit in Bischoff's spot. It'll be Tommy Martin, and that'll be coming up. If we go to the top of the 8th, they'll be third in the batting order. So that's where it is all. Where I thought everything was screwed up, it's right.
Here is a liner that's going to get down into center field. And we've got a leadoff base hit with Cooper Twilliger. Leadoff single in the bottom of the 7th.
That's a big hit there for Twilliger. Looking like maybe we're going to have a pinch runner that will come to the plates, or come to first base, and that will be Aiden Johnson. The speedy Aiden Johnson will run for Twilliger, knowing that is the go-ahead and winning, not even a go-ahead, that's just the game-winning run. And Bridger Babcock, who probably in a bunting situation right now here with nobody out in the bottom of the 7th.
No outs, and as you mentioned, Babcock at the plate. He was part of that wild play in the top of the 7th that even allowed this game to get extended to this point. Johnson trying to come back. Oh, he just got back to the bag. That was dangerously close for the courtesy runner.
And Johnson thought that Babcock was going to bunt the ball. He pulled it back, and then Johnson was starting to head towards second, so he had to hurry his way back, as it was a strike. So that's, one where also Johnson probably thought that Bridger Babcock was going to bunt. And it does almost come back to hurt the Governors, but still an opportunity here.
They're going to try it again. This time Johnson's ready for it. His speed certainly bailed him out of certain danger that time. Governors batting .208 as a team thus far this season, a .270 slugging percentage. Entered these games with a 60 hits total. And this is a foul ball from the man at the plate, Bridger Babcock, but just barely.
And now it'd be an 0-2 count. Coach Riley's got a decision on trying to have him bunt one more time and chance to bunt the ball foul and strike out, or you just have him swing away right now, and then that, the potential of hitting into a double play.
That is the question worthy of Solomon himself right now. But again, you've got Aiden Johnson, and this kid is faster than a Black Friday shopper in Target. Here is a liner that is foul to the right of the first base bag. Count stays at 0-2.
Obviously, swinging away and being an 0-2, you got to be probably the best bunter on the team for a coach to try and have the bunt go on at 0-2. So now Babcock's got a chance, even though he failed to bunt the ball twice, he got still a chance to get a base hit and advance Aiden Johnson with nobody out in the bottom of the 7th.
Got a single in his first at-bat of the game, the number 8 man in the order. He's come up huge in spots before, trying to do it again. Pitch is low, first ball of this at-bat, count at 1-2. Tommy Martin, the pitcher. 4.2 innings pitched on the season entering today's games. 3 appearances, this is his 5th total. This is going to be fouled, and it'll land right up against the wooden fence near left field. Count stays at 1-2. Martin, before today's games, had a season-high 2 innings pitched versus Harrisburg back on April 8th. And he has pitched in both this second game and game 1, so he's gotten his share. Pitch to Babcock, swing and a miss, and Babcock is down on strikes. 1 away here in the bottom of the 7th.
And now, again, another interesting spot with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. You could bunt the runner over to second still with O'Brien, but then you put yourself with 2 outs and leave it up to Scheffelbein or Sonnenschein to try and drive in that run, and you don't have anywhere else to work with. You can't use another productive out anywhere.
Parker O'Brien at the plate. He did reach base in his first at-bat. That via a walk. Showed bunt momentarily. Johnson quickly moves back to the plate as Brady Feenstra was looking down his way. And now O'Brien talking things over, trying to make sure that he's in the right form for this at-bat. Count is 1-0. Bottom of the 7th between the Govs and the Tigers. Pierre trying to get a doubleheader sweep, which would be the first time that they've done that since the Aberdeen doubleheader a couple weeks ago.
Game.
That was only one game. That's right. I forgot. This is going to be fouled off as Johnson was taking off for second base, and he would have gotten it too if it wasn't for that meddling foul ball. Count goes to 1-1.
I'm not sure if it was a hit and run entirely or if O'Brien just liked the pitch and swung at it. But sometimes that hit and run does, you swing at it to force that bad throw from the catcher.
Winning run is at first base. Johnson taking off. Here comes the throw. It's going to be close. Johnson slides, and he got it. Aiden Johnson steals second base by the hair on his chinny chin chin.
1-2 count now, so it's a big pitch here for O'Brien. He's got to protect. If he can, you don't want to necessarily hit one to the right side, but a base hit through the infield could win this ball game here for the Govs.
All right, 1-2 pitch, one away. Johnson in scoring position. This ball popped up. It's going to be in foul territory and playable, and the catch will be made by Jack Peterson, and that is a massive second out for Huron.
Now with 2 outs, contact, any base hit for Scheffelbein will win the game with the speedy Johnson, who has to be ready to move on contact.
Carter Scheffelbein, the leadoff man in the order for the Pierre Governors. 2 outs, runner on second. What every player dreams of, this kind of situation. He'll swing and miss at this first pitch. Count goes to 0-1. It's Scheffelbein versus Tommy Martin. And Scheffelbein last year, the team leader in batting average, .235 entering the first game today. He will send this one fair, runs on to first. The ball got away, and coming home to win the game is Johnson. And the Governors are going to walk it off.
And now the Huron coach is going to come out, but I don't think there's any way that batter interference can be called because Scheffelbein was at the bag when the throw got to first base.
The umpires are going to have a conversation in the infield.
I don't know what else he could do because he's at the bag, and they will say that he is safe at home.
And that'll do it. The Governors get their mojo back and sweep the Huron Tigers in dramatic fashion. One of the most chaotic endings we've seen at Hyde Stadium in some time. But Pierre gets the job done, and it's thanks to a Huron mistake. What a way for the Governors to win it.
That is a wild way to win, but the way the game had gone, it had to be some kind. I mean, that was a huge shot that barely spun fair for Scheffelbein. And then the throw being wide of the bag at first and allowing Johnson to score on the throwing error from the pitcher. You knew it was going to be a wacky way to end the game, and that's a big win for the Govs to go 2-0 today.
Wow. Talk about a wild finish. The Pierre Governors find a way to beat the Huron Tigers in game number 2 in dramatic fashion. It's not always going to be easy, but it's about getting the dub. And that's exactly what the Pierre Governors just did. Congrats to Pierre. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll have post-game coverage of game number 2 between your Govs and the Huron Tigers. We'll recap all the action in just a little bit. Make sure to tune in when that happens. We'll be back in a few.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Venture Communications has deep roots in rural South Dakota. Venture now proudly provides fiber to the home with 100% of our customers, enabling them to enjoy super fast and reliable internet connections. We'd like the opportunity to keep you in touch with the people and resources that matter most. 100% fiber and 100% committed to rural South Dakota. Call Venture Communications today at 605-852-2224, 605-852-2224, or online at venturecom.net. For over 60 years, Ferding Electric has been powering homes and businesses across central South Dakota. When you need reliable electrical service, trust the experts with decades of experience. Whether it's a simple residential repair, a complex commercial installation, or even electrical work on your farm, Ferding Electric has you covered. And if you're tired of searching everywhere for that hard-to-find bulb, Ferding Electric carries a wide selection of bulbs, including those hard-to-find fluorescent and specialty options. Visit us at 2903 East Elizabeth Street or call today, 605-224-8684.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to Pierre Governors Baseball on KCCR, and we have reached a final in game number 2. What a wild game it was between your Pierre Governors and the Huron Tigers. Govs win by a score of 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th on a walk-off error by the Huron Tigers. Aiden Johnson able to come home. He was a courtesy runner in that situation, but he made the most of his opportunity, and the Governors sweep the Huron Tigers. They get 2 wins in the win column, and they get some much-needed momentum looking ahead to the rest of the season.
Yeah, a leadoff single by Cooper Twilliger that allowed Aiden Johnson to run for him, and then he got second on a stolen base. Then the cue shot off the top of the bat by Schuffelbein spun his way, stayed fair, which forced Tommy Martin to try and make a play, and he threw it wide of the bag at first. Schuffelbein was at the base when the throw got there. There was a conversation with the coaching staff of Huron trying to get the umpires to talk about it, but Schuffelbein, I mean, he has to get to the base. There's no secondary base like there is in college right now. But so he got to the base, and then the throw went wide, allowed Aiden Johnson to score, and Pierre kind of escaped that second one. They dominated the first one, and they escaped with the win the second one. But, at the end of the day, it's 2 wins for the Governors that they need to have here today.
And that's the bottom line for the Governors, getting the second win as they did just a little bit ago. Looking at some stats for Pierre in this game, they end with 6 hits overall, 1 RBI. They forced 1 walk, struck out 3 times. Governors had hits from Carter Schuffelbein, Dawson Getz, Trevor Rounds, and 2 from Cooper Twilliger. None bigger than that leadoff single he had in the bottom half of the 7th that set up Aiden Johnson, sent him on as the courtesy runner to eventually win the game for the Governors. Meanwhile, for Huron in this game, they had 2 hits from Bubba Peterson, who not only was their best batter, but also, no question, their best pitcher of the day. Had a great day from the mound, a couple hits, and a run scored for Huron. 1 hit for Trace Wentz, one hit for Davis Chase. Feenstra with 1 RBI, Cooper Bischoff with a walk, Anderson with 1 hit, Waldron with 2 hits and a run, and the Tigers in total with 2 runs in this game. But it was not enough to hold off the Pierre Governors.
Yeah, that final line total, 3 runs, 6 hits, 3 errors for the Governors. They left 4 men on base. Huron had 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, and they left 8 men on base. Brendan McCullough was excellent. We didn't even get a chance to really talk about him because the way the situation was in the top of the 7th. He threw 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts and 82 pitches. That is a magnificent effort from Brendan McCullough, who does not get a decision in the game. Will Danberg got the final 3 outs, did not allow a hit or a walk. He had 1 strikeout. He does get the win. As you mentioned, Bubba Peterson, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. And then Tommy Martin, who will grab the loss, 1 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run that was unearned, a walk and a strikeout for Tommy Martin, as the time of the ball game was 1 hour and 42 minutes. So we played 2 games in a total of 2 hours and 50 minutes. And we've had games that have gone, 1 game by themselves have gone 2 hours and 50 minutes, but we had a doubleheader that we will get out of here before 8:30 this evening, which is sometimes quite unusual. And if this would have been another month later, the lights in Hyatt Stadium wouldn't even been turned on yet.
Yeah.
We're still 23 minutes away from sunset. This is two quick moving games for the Govs to win 10-0 and 3-2.
It was somewhat lopsided because the first game was a 5-inning sprint, barely lasted an hour. The second game, a little bit longer, full 7 innings, very competitive all the way through, but also low scoring. It was interesting to see the difference in the two games. And Pierre, not quite as sharp in game number 2, but as we've mentioned before, they found a way to win in the end. And that's been the mentality for Pierre time and time again this season. All but 3 of their games, John, have been decided by 2 runs or less, and somehow Pierre finds a way in a majority of these games to get the victory.
Yeah, going into Friday against Brookings, who they lost the first game 6-5 to Roosevelt. They were playing today. If you take the Game 1 performance from today, you're going to feel pretty good about your 2 results against Brookings. If you take the Game 2 performance against Brookings going into Friday, you're going to might be looking for some answers coming out of that Friday doubleheader and coming back the next day, Saturday, here at home against Brandon Valley. So Game 1 was really good. Second game, it's about winning baseball games.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the Govs got the win. There's still a lot more for the Govs to improve on and to get better at. But if you're still winning games, that's what it comes down to at the end. And the Govs want to continue to gain some ground, get better as the days go on. And, they've got 2 really big tests and 4 really big games coming up Friday and Saturday.
I'm the man playing out over the speakers here at Hyde Stadium, and as John mentioned, he will be in Brookings on Friday night as the Governors take on the Brookings Bobcats on the road. Should be a pretty good doubleheader. And then Saturday, the Governors are right back here to Hyde Stadium. They will take on the Brandon Valley Lynx. I will be on the call for that. Should be a fun couple days coming up this weekend on KCCR and a fun week across your Riverfront Broadcasting station, John.
Yeah, we do have NBA basketball coming up tomorrow night between the Timberwolves and Lakers. That's Game 5 of that series, and we'll have Game 6 between either the Wild Knights or Stars and Avalanche. We're waiting to see when the final decision will be made and timing and all that stuff, but we'll have hockey for you Thursday night. So we've got basketball tomorrow night, hockey Thursday night, baseball Friday, baseball Saturday with some basketball and NHL Saturday and Sunday, and some more Major League Baseball Sunday night, all here on KCCR.
A stacked week of sports here on KCCR. Also tune in to the KCCR Morning Show tomorrow. John and I will be on the call, and we will talk about tonight's game and some other cool stuff happening around the Capital City area. But for John Winkler and all of you listening in, I am Dylan Simmons saying so long from Hyde Stadium. The Governors win both games of the doubleheader. We will see you soon. Have an electric night, everybody.
You've been listening to Pierre Governor Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Governor Baseball is brought to you by Comtech, True Green Chemlon, Edward Jones Financial, Overhead Doors, Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Gay Gare, AGE, First Fidelity, State Farm Insurance Becky Ponsaba Agency, Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, Missouri River Dentistry, Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping, Agtegra, Ferding Electric, Envirotech, Kruger Climate Systems, Stalkin Peterson LLP, Wagner Auto, the South Dakota Office of Attorney General, Division of Consumer Protection, Gales Gas, First United Methodist Church, Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction, Beck Motor Company, May Adams, American Family Insurance, Brittany Scheffelbein Agency, Lamb Motors, Bank West, CHS River Plains, Faith Lutheran Church, Graham Tire, Kathy Sunshine Properties, Venture Communications, and the American of Fort Pierre. Join us all season for Governor Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting, Central South Dakota.